BYU All-American safety Kyle Morrell passed away yesterday at the age of 57. He was battling ALS. Morrell played safety at BYU from 1981 to 84. He's famous for what's considered to be the unanimous best defensive play in BYU history, where at Hawaii in 1984, he jumps over the line of scrimmage, perfectly timed, to force a field goal and secure a victory in what becomes an undefeated and national championship season for BYU. It is the greatest defensive play ever and one of the greatest overall plays in BYU history. He was a first-team All-American that year, drafted by the Vikings in the 4th round in the next draft.
Lavelle Edwards said of that play, you could have tried it 100 times in a game and not timed it any better than the one time he did it.
If Hawaii scores a touchdown there, who knows if BYU wins that game? Maybe they still do. But that was an incredible situation for Kyle Morrell. And a couple of years ago, he came back with some of his teammates, Jim Herman and Robbie Bosco and Glenn Kozlowski, and they ran out the flag. They put him in a golf cart so he could run out there with the team. It was a pretty cool scene to have Kyle Morrell, who for years we've heard about the great Kyle Morrell, and unfortunately yesterday he passed away at the age of 57.
We are remembering a legend today on BYU Sports Nation. We think one of the top 20 players ever at BYU.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you mentioned, first-team All-American, and who better to remember Kyle Morrell than his former teammate and longtime friend, BYU Athletic Director Tom Holmoe, now joins us over Zoom via the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Tom, when I say Kyle Morrell, what comes to mind?
Just one of the greatest kids to ever play with. I think I've said this before, that people look at that play and it's his whole career is defined by that one play, but he made so many plays at BYU, and he was a blast to be around in practice, to be around in meetings, to be on the plane. Wherever you were with Kyle, it was a joy for me. And I was 2 years older than him, and I remember my senior year was his sophomore year when he first started. And he was a skinny little kid when he came to BYU from Viewmont High School. And it didn't take long for me to realize this kid's got pizzazz. He has everything it takes. And he gave everything for that team. He threw himself around like a rocket, and he would fly into 275-pound offensive linemen with that 170-pound frame. He was wiry, but he was tough as nails, and he was a physical kid. And I love him so much. And I tell you, I can't name 5 better players than him on the defensive side of the ball. He's one of the top 5 for sure on the defensive side of the ball.
And when I see number 5, I think of Kyle Morrell. I really do. When anyone wears 5, I think that's Kyle Morrell's number, right? And it was special. I mentioned it a moment ago, Tom, when he was able to come back with some of his teammates and run the flag out. It was kind of our last public experience with Kyle. That was a special night.
It really was. He was kind of private later on in his years, and when he contracted ALS, it's a wicked disease, and we all know it. It was just, I'd talked to him, but I hadn't really seen him in a while. And to be able to see him and just he's somebody whose name should be up on that ring of honor, if what they call it. He gave everything for that team. And that night was special. It was a kind of a quiet night, but we got to go up in one of the suites. We put Kyle and his children up in that, and to be up in that suite with him during the game, I'll never forget, just to have some of his teammates and Kyle up there, and it was sweet.
A lot of people don't know how many young people he impacted coaching football after his BYU playing days. What made Kyle Morrell such a great motivator and coach and influencer of young people?
He really loved the game. He was. There's a lot of players that I've seen at BYU, or really even in the NFL, that are super athletic and they can do amazing things. But Kyle's one of a rare breed that has like instincts for the game, and he loves the game. And when you put athleticism along with those two, it's hard to beat. And he had it all. He had all those things on the field. he would have had a really nice NFL career. I think he was a 4th-round pick of the Vikings, but he got hurt right off the bat, a really bad injury to his knee, and he couldn't recover from it. And he just kind of probably took all that passion and energy and instead of playing, took it to coaching little kids.
Certainly defined, as you mentioned, by the play at Hawaii. Walk us through what that meant in BYU history for him to time that perfectly. I believe it was on 3rd down to get a stop and force a field goal and then eventually win that game and win the national championship.
Well, I don't think if they would score, it changes the whole game. That wasn't 4th down. It wasn't the stop and we got the ball, but they had to kick a field goal. Obviously, this is a couple years after I left, so I'm watching it just like you. The first time I saw it, my first reaction was, oh, the coaches probably were freaking out when he jumped over the clock. Because I guess, but knowing Kyle, what you would think of is, hey, they're not going to get a 1st down. They can move it an inch quicker. And the calculated risk that he took, we don't win that game, there is no national championship. So I'm just looking at all those numbers right there and those players. He wasn't the only guy on that team that could ball. There was Leon White and Kurt Govea were right there. That was one heck of a great team.
Tom, we appreciate you taking some time with us to remember legendary defender Kyle Morrell and what he did for BYU, and we certainly are going to miss him. Thanks so much for the time.
Hey, one real quick thing. It's kind of cool, like just today, a lot of his former teammates are reaching out kind of privately, not necessarily on social media, but it's something about athletics that's really cool that here it is, 38 years, probably 35 years after some have played with him and the emotion and the impact that he had on us all those years later. And you just see it when he gave, laid it out there for the Cougs all those many years ago for the 4 years that he played here. It lasts forever. And his teammates are super grateful that they had an opportunity to play with him.
Well said. And we, again, thank you for taking the time with us as we look back on Kyle Morrell. We love you, Tom, and appreciate all you've done for BYU Athletics, and we certainly love the Morrell family. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Kyle Morrell.
That's a tough one, right? Kyle Morrell's one of those guys that has one of those iconic plays, and you see the emotion come out of Tom when you think about the memories that you have in certain periods of your life. Like I think about the people on my mission and at that time, and then the people in college, and then obviously you're going to be a big part of my life. And when all is said and done, my story includes you, right, in several chapters. But the relationships you have with people, that national championship team is so tight. They got along. There is something about chemistry of a team that equates to being better on the field. Yeah. It just does. When you trust each other, there's a difference. You are better synergistically as a group, and Kyle Morrell is a big cog in that for the '84 title team.
It's really cool to look back and see just how close they are. And I saw Lee Johnson and Jim Herman and these guys play with Tom. When they get together, they're best friends.
Yes.
Those
lifetime memories.
Those relationships were bonded at BYU.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a special place where you can have those.
Again, our thanks to our guests, Tom Holmoe and Tyler Algier. For Jarom, I am Spencer. Shout out to the entire Kyle Morrell family. We'll see you tonight on BYU Football with Kalani Sitake.
Tonight on BYU Football with Kalani.